Here's pre-calc. It's problem 5-22. It says, solve for x on the indicated domain. Begin by solving for the function. Recall that if no domain is indicated, the domain is all real numbers. Remember to use a unit circle or graph as a visual reminder. So we start out with 2 sine x minus 1 equals 0. So we're going to solve the function first. So just add 1 on both sides and divide both sides by 2. And now you have sine x as a half. So I'm just going to use my unit circle on this. There's certain places on the unit circle where sine is a half. Remember, sine is the y value. So sine is a half right here. So that's pi over 6. So I'll write. Now I'm going to write pi over 6 plus 2 pi n because this angle measure, well, that's 30 degrees, but I could go all the way around and say, well, that's also 390 degrees, or it's also, I can keep going around and around, or I can go backwards and get to that angle. So we're going to say plus 2 pi, because that's once around, times n. And then even if you want to go backwards, if n was negative 1. Okay, so that's how this is how we take care of it when they don't specify a domain. But we know that there's another place on my unit circle where sine of x is a half. And that's right over here. So then I'm going to say the same thing. I'm going to say 5 pi over 6 plus 2 pi n. Something like that. And it's kind of understood. I mean, your answer book says n is an integer. It's kind of understood. It's just customary to assume that n is an integer. Okay, so the next one, we're just going to solve the function. So we're just going to subtract 2 on both sides and then divide both sides by 2. We're finding on our unit circle all the places where cosine x equals negative 1. So cosine is the x values. So really just here. I don't think there's anywhere else. It's just here. So it's just going to be pi. Just right here. That's cosine of negative 1. So it's the x equals pi plus 2 pi n. Because I can go, it's pi plus, or it's pi, but if I wanted to go around again, it'd be 3 pi, right? Or I can keep going around as many times as I want. So do like this. And the next one, just subtract root 2 on both sides and then divide both sides by negative 2, and you'll get sine of x is root 2 over 2. I think that's that 45 degree one. We can, remember sine is the y value. So we look here, we're looking at y values, root 2 over 2. So here's one right here. It's 45 degrees, which is pi over 4. So let's write that down. Plus 2 pi n. And then where else? Where else do we have, what was it, sine? Where else is sine root 2 over 2? 3 pi over 4. It's going to be, it's negative down here. So maybe we can just do it like this. See if that's right. Yep. And then this one, we are going to solve the function first. So we're just going to subtract 3 on both sides. And then we're looking on our unit circle, where is cosine x negative 3? And I already don't really have to look at my circle because I know that sine and cosine, the highest they ever get is 1. Like, because they're, their graph, it looks like the parent function graph. This cosine, so it goes like this, up and down like that. and this is 1 and this is -1, x never equals 3. Or cosine x never equals 3. And you can look all around here and you'll never find a 3. So we're just going to say no solution. X equals no solution. That was a weird thing to say. Let's just say no solution.